Hi, my name is Nathan Quao. This is Sporty FM. Many thanks to you for checking out our YouTube channel. My co-host John Boafo and I on Inside French Football had a very interesting interview with Gideon Mensah where he spoke about his own review of the Ligue 1 season with AJ Auxerre, his excitement at seeing a French club win the Champions League, what he's experienced in France so far, the joys of learning a language if you want to succeed in a new culture and in a new country, and some of the interesting things he has experienced with the Black Stars or playing for Auxerre or life as a pro footballer. Check out the interview coming up next. And remember to click on the notification bell and subscribe to our channel. This is Sporty FM. We are the voice of sport. Enjoy the interview. You're still listening to Inside French Football on Sporty FM 106.1 Saint-Cyprien. Nous sommes la voix du sport. We are the voice of sport. John Boafo is still here with me. And John, we have a special guest on today's show.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this, to have a conversation with the one and only Gideon Mensah.
Right, AJ Auxerre, Gideon Mensah. Gideon, salut, bonjour. Comment tu vas?
Bonjour, ça va? Toi?
Oui, je vais bien. non, on va parler anglais. Un peu de français, je ne sais pas moi. Thank you so much for joining us. How was the season? It's been a quite long football season. You've had a lot to deal with, but let's talk about your time at Auxerre. This season, and maybe we'll talk about the broader bit of playing football in France. How was it for you, personal level? You played 29 games, I think, for Auxerre, but how was it for you?
Yeah, I think it was a good season for me. It was like beginning of the season, I got injured during the preseason, so I missed 5 games, and then I got back. I had to go to the national team and come back again. I was struggling with injuries, but then it was like a good season for me. Came up from injury and I never went back again.
I see. 29 appearances, and you set up what? You had 1 assist?
1, yes.
1. Which game was that?
I think it was against Stade Rennes.
Yes. Okay, Stade Rennes. I see. Interesting one. John, how many Gideon Mensah games did you watch this season, John?
So I watched the one that really I remember well is the one that you guys played against Marseille, right? Because
that's the reason.
Being a PSG fan, you always kind of want Marseille to lose. Yeah. How was that game? How was the the lead up to the game, after the game? How was it? Just take us through this.
I think before the game was obviously you're playing against Marseille, which is a big team in France. So the expectation was obviously on Marseille to win the game. But then us being Auxerre, we had a good season before that game. So we didn't really have too much stress in our head about the game. We had a great tactics last season where we always defend, and then we knew that we had fast attackers up front. So it was just defend good together, and then when we attack, then we always attack together as well. So once we started the game I think the first game was in Marseille, away game. Got the first goal, and then it was okay, why not? We just keep going that way, and then it got a bit easier as the game went on. And then it's always easy. Me personally, I love to play against big teams because there's more space. You have space to do your own thing, and then nobody really expects you. Even if it doesn't go well, they know you're playing a bigger size, so it doesn't really matter. So yeah, I think we had clear mind when we're going into that game. Yeah.
I see. John, that was the game that it was following that game that the people at Marseille, what's the name, Longoria, was talking about. He said there was a plot against Marseille and the referee. Gideon, you played in that game. How was the officiating like? Because the people at Marseille thought that there was a plan to rob them that day. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. It was obviously I've been playing for the League 1 for 4 years now.
Yeah.
And then I know when you're playing against the biggest team is always you're playing against the opponent and you're playing against the referee. So I didn't see the referee being on our side. The referee can never be on our side actually, because mostly we always have this. Me personally, I have this in my mind that when you're in a small team, they try to put you on the bottom of the league, and then you go relegation. But then that game, I think we just had a good season, and then we had good game right from the start. Referees was just doing their own thing, I think so. Anything that was behind the scene, I have no idea what was going on.
Sometimes people don't really have that much visibility on Ligue 1, and they know the Marseille, they know the PSGs. Yes. What are some of the other teams that you played against that you thought, man, this was a tough game, and maybe you don't want to play them every single week?
I think those games will probably be the teams that are middle of the table and the teams that are on our level. Because those ones I always say, I remember when I was playing League 2, I was telling my agent, it's difficult because the boys are hungry. Yeah. Nobody's going to give you the space to do what you want to do. So the proper hard games will probably be against the Saint-Etiennes, the
Maybe
Angers. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
those people like
Yes.
Toulouse.
Nantes
I hate to
and
play
Toulouse.
Toulouse.
Yeah.
Toulouse, you never win a game there. I've played like 3 seasons in Ligue 1. I've never won a game there. It's very difficult to play.
Away at Toulouse. Why,
Yeah.
why is it that?
It's very difficult. Very difficult. I don't know how they do it there, but it's very difficult to win a game there. Toulouse, and then you have clubs like Lens. Very difficult, but this season we won like 4-0 there. I mean, like I said, we had a good season, so like we're just walking over everyone in the league. Yeah.
I see. Tell me of all the games that you played this season. One, what was your favorite on a personal level? What was your favorite game in the Liga this
I think it was
just in that season?
against Marseille, away game.
Okay.
I think that was like one.
At the Velodrome.
Yeah, one was like, and then I'm used to playing there because my first game with Bordeaux, first game in Ligue 1 was there. And then it was like
Bordeaux
2-2. I had like a good season there, a good game there. So playing there again was not too difficult for me in the head, but I think that was one of my best games in the league, because I remember when there was, after like that game, was a few games that my coach called me in the office and was like, some people that watched the game, they called him like after 2-3 games, they were like, was it Gideon's brother who was playing against myself, because now we don't see him again. Because I remember, that game I was just booming on the left side. I was like just going, yeah.
I see. You know, John talks about visibility, right? I mean, this show is all French football. Not a lot of people listen to it. So what will you tell somebody who has never watched the French Ligue game, has only seen PSG and Marseille, and maybe Stade Brest?
Yeah.
What will you tell them about Ligue 1? What's it like playing in France, playing in Le Championnat?
Well, I think it's a good league, you know. You have a couple of good teams, like you mentioned, Paris, you have Marseille, you have Lyon, you have Strasbourg, who was very good this season also. But then you come to the bottom of the table or the middle of the table, and you also have teams that people doesn't really know. You probably know some of the players, but you don't really know the teams. But then that's a good league. I've been there for 4 years now, and then I've played in Belgium, in Austria, in Portugal. And then I think the French League is one of the toughest that I've played in all the leagues that I've played. But then, like you said, we are from a country where we don't really speak French, so you don't expect nobody to be running in the traffic going to watch League 1. So yeah, you don't really expect that. But I think if people really put their mind to it and then they set their focus on it, they're gonna know that the French League is a very good league that to enjoy watching and also to enjoy playing.
It is a great league.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people don't know there's maybe 4 or 5 Ghanaian players that play in Ligue 1. Are you close to any of them other than, you know, your teammate?
But there's Enes Niama,
Yeah.
you know.
There's Ali Seydou as well.
Yes. I mean, Salis was on loan last season at Sunderland, so this season he wasn't there. But what's your relationship like with those players?
I think we're very good. We're very good. I mean, Salis is somebody that I talk to almost every day. Alidu also. NS we don't really speak, but then we are very cool. It's like from the national team and from also playing in the League 1. I'm very close to the captain also, the DIU. I remember the last time we played against them, we spoke like 3 hours after the game.
Oh wow!
Just there's talking, me, him, and Elisha, and then I think there's also one Dansu who plays for Austria.
Yes, Kevin.
He's not.
Dansu.
He doesn't play for Ghana. He's
Ghanaian,
but
yeah, to Spurs.
But then we have this chemistry that we know we are from Ghana, so why not? We just talk.
He was John Kevin était à Lens, no?
Yeah, he was at Lens.
He was at Lens, and then
before
he
the move
left
to Spurs.
Yeah. But yeah, we are very good. We are very cool. I mean, we have moments that we speak before the game, after the game, sometimes on the phone and stuff like that. Alida sometimes I even drive like 3 hours to see Alida when he was injured. Yeah, so we are very good.
Wonderful. The last time I saw you were playing for the national team. This was a few weeks ago in England.
Yeah.
In the Unity Cup. Tell me about that experience. How was it like? Because it's rare. It doesn't happen often that the season ends and then there is a tournament, even though it's a friendly tournament.
Yeah.
How was it like for you meeting your teammates again, but having to play together in a very unique situation where you don't see it often? And was it beneficial for you?
I think it was. It was. I remember when Otto called me. I mean, he came, I think 2 months before the Unity games, and then he was like, yeah, we have a friendly game in June, but it was supposed to be like middle of June, and then time went on and then they said we're going to play the Unity game. I remember he told me that, if you know you're tired or you're injured, you don't want to come. It's not really like that important, so if you don't want to come. But then I was like, this is like something that never happens. Playing against Nigeria, Jamaica, and Trinidad is some experience that you really want to have as a player who plays for the national team, because you're not going to have that in your whole career. I was like, why not? I went there after the season. I did my whole visa thing, and I went there, met some new players in the team also, which is very good. Sometimes you see the old players every time, but then it's also good to have like new players around you to know how the team is building and everything. So it was a good experience,
Are there any new players that joined for the Unity Cup that really impressed you, and you think that maybe will push on and stay in the Black Stars team?
I think everyone did,
Yeah.
everyone did. I think one that really, really did well was Caleb.
Caleb Urin.
Yeah. He obviously, like, he was playing like on a position that is not his position. And then it's quite funny because he was my roommate. He never speaks, he never say anything.
Yes.
Even like before he goes for breakfast, lunch, or whatever, he has to wait for me. I was like, I've been there for a while, so I know the rules and everything. So I will not be rushing so much. But then he wants to go, but then he has to wait for me. He never speaks anything, but on the field he's like a completely different person. He showed. I mean, I think he played against Nigeria the second half.
Yeah, the second half.
I never saw a player like that playing like his first game in the national team like that. And then you have also Bonsu.
Christopher
Yeah.
Bonsuba.
He had
Lots of the fans loved him. After that Nigeria game, I was listening to a lot because I was there. I was covering.
Yeah.
Everybody had very good things to say about him and Caleb.
I think he had a good tournament also. And then you have Gaddafi. I mean, all the new boys that came in, I think they tried, they did their best. Always like there's bare pressure when you have to play your first game against a country like Nigeria. Obviously, it's a friendly game. I remember when I played my first game was against South Africa. It was the World Cup qualifiers. I was stressing in my head, especially at the first 10 minutes. But then I think the boys did well where you're playing against Nigeria, who everybody's watching. It's a whole music challenge, food challenge, football challenge.
The jollof was, yeah.
And I think that also helped them. And then against Trinidad, I think the confidence was very high.
Yeah.
And they did their own thing.
Yeah. Cool.
Great stuff. It was an interesting time. I mean, I was at Brentford. I saw Gideon a number of times at the team hotel and on the pitch. So I think that because one, it was a friendly, there was less pressure on the new boys, and I think it was good because it allowed them the chance to integrate, to meet some of the guys like Gideon, the more experienced players, and I hope that it will happen. Gideon, one final bit on the Blacks as we'll come back to the Liga. We are, as a country, in a very good place in the qualifiers. A few more wins and we'll be at the World Cup, and we all want to go. Tell me, what will it take for the Black Stars to cross these games so we can say that yes, we are at the World Cup, yes, we are in a good position, we need to win, but what will it take? What do you think the team must do if they want to now officially say we are going to the next World Cup?
Yeah, I think the last couple games in the World Cup qualifiers has been very good games. Obviously, we won our last 2 games. Yeah. And then I always say this, like, everything that you do, I mean, when it comes to football, is like, you always have to motivate you or doesn't have to do anything to you at all. So the best thing we can do is just not change anything. Obviously, if we had stuff that was not going well in those 2 games, we take it as motivation to change it. If there's stuff that went well for us, we take it as a motivation to also go on and do it. So we don't really have to change a lot. I remember when we went to UK, I mean, the coach kept saying that we had good games in the World Cup qualifier, so there's not really much things to change in the national team, and which is true because we don't really have to change a lot. I think we just have to not change our mentality towards those games that we played before and just go on and then continue like that.
John?
Yeah, going back to Auxerre, I mean, when you went to France, you started at Bordeaux. Everyone knows, a lot of people know about Bordeaux and the history of Bordeaux. And, unfortunately, they're now in the position that they are. But Auxerre, how much did you know about Auxerre? I mean, I haven't grown up in Paris. I knew a lot about Auxerre, but especially back in the days in Djibril Cissé. Djibril Cissé was insane. And
Fadiga,
and Fadiga as well. So how much did you know about Auxerre, and how's life also in Auxerre, in the city of Auxerre?
To be fair, I didn't really know nothing about Auxerre. I didn't even know the team. Because I know Cissé. I met Cissé when I was in Austria back in the day when he stopped playing football. He came there to do like campaigns.
He's
DJ. He came to train with us.
Oh.
Okay.
When I was in the second team, came to train there. But I know him to play Auxerre, but I didn't know nothing about Auxerre. I remember when I left Bordeaux, I went back to Austria, and then pre-season. So one goalkeeper that I played with in Bordeaux, Costil Ben, He played in Stade Rennes also.
Yeah.
Now I think he's top his career. He went to Auxerre right from the season when we went down from with Bordeaux. He went there. So there was a day that he posted a picture of them training, and then I just happened to like the picture on his story on Instagram. And then he texted me like a few hours after and was like, "Oh, what are you doing this season?" I'm like, "I'm still with my club now. I'm doing preseason. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm still waiting." And then he was like, "Oh, if you wanna come speak to Auxerre, then you can come here. You know, like it's a good club. No much pressure. The people here loves the team and everything." I said, "Okay, come." But then funny enough, after the conversation with him, it was like a few days after, and then my agent called that Auxerre called him that they want to have me on to come there. So I don't know if it was because of him or from my agent, but then but prior to that, I had no idea what Auxerre was and then where it was and everything. I just knew it was in France.
Yeah.
And I just knew that it came from Ligue 2 to Ligue 1. So that was what happened that I went there.
Wonderful.
And you guys, so you were in Ligue 1, Ligue 2, and then you come back to Ligue 1. What are your ambitions for this year, this season, the upcoming season? How do you think that the team's gonna do? Have they talked to you about the ambition that they have? Maybe they want
you
to
guys
continue
finished
players.
11. So I mean, what's the plan for next season?
You just need to keep making your owner, your fans, the whole city happy, and then also making yourself proud as a player. Also staying in the Ligue 1 because I played Ligue 1 twice before I went to Ligue 2. And then comparing the two is not fun to play in Ligue 2. The two is like fight everywhere. I remember the first game against Valenciennes in Ligue 2. He won the game, I think, like
Valenciennes.
I think now they went to National. Because obviously, like they were going to go because they had like players who played for National until the Ligue 2 year. So that game we won like 4-0, but then I got injured because literally you have when you have 4 players around you, and then I'm playing in Auxerre where I'm literally a left back, but I've got players call me, like the Ghanaian players call me, and then they tell me, oh, they had a whole meeting because of me, because obviously I don't want to defend, I always want to dribble and stuff like this. So Ligue 2 was big, because then you have when you have like already like 4 players around you. So like the first game I got injured, I remember I called my agent after the game. I said the transfer window was still open. I said I can't play in Ligue 2, I'm gonna leave. So coming back to Ligue 1 and then playing Ligue 1 where you're playing against like technical players, playing against good teams with big space and everything, you don't really want to go to Ligue 2. So the ambition is just to stay in the league. It's like have good games, have good numbers for yourself, and then if you can move from there to a bigger club, why not? So I mean, that was the ambition also for the last season. We tried as much to win the games that we can win, get the points that we can get, because we knew that most of the teams were playing the Champions League and the Europa League, and then once they are out of the Europa League, it's going to be difficult. Nobody's going to give you chances anymore to win. So we try to get all the points, especially in the first round of the season, and then in the long run, it helped that at the end of the season. So the ambition is just to stay in the league, get more points, and then have a good season.
Do you have any personal targets for yourself? Score more goals, more assists, anything in particular you want to do for yourself?
Yeah, funny enough, goals hasn't been my thing. I've got, for the past 3 years, I've got a deal with the coach that you score and I'll take you to Paris for any restaurant that you want. I'm still waiting to go.
I love that.
I'm still waiting to go. Anytime I get into the box and then I don't score, he goes like, I'm always waiting for you for me to take you to Paris, but you never score. But I mean, obviously, I'm a left back, attacking left back. We play with 5 at the back, so obviously I'm playing as a wing back. So the ambition, I mean, the goal is to just have good numbers, assists, create more chances for the team also, and then if I can score, why not? I will score for the team.
And since you started playing in France, you've played against a lot of teams. What was the hardest person that you had to come up against? The toughest opponent that you ever had to play against? Wow. And to defend. I'm sure there's a long list, but maybe give us a couple of them.
Maybe you can just mention a few.
That'll be difficult. It will be difficult, but it will be surprising, because who I'll mention is not because I couldn't defend him or he's the most skillful player in the league, but then obviously Hakimi is like someone that you don't know how to defend him, or you don't know how to attack him, because he's got the speed, and then he's also playing like with a team that they always have the ball, so the energy is always there. He's always booming, like he's always going. So like playing against Hakimi has been very, I mean, difficult situation. Sometimes like before the game when he's not playing, I'm always happy because I know they're gonna play with like a second team player, and then that one he's not gonna come close to me. So but then playing against him, it's very tough opponent. And then there's few ones that probably they are not too known. Like I said, you play against players that they are very hungry. They're not gonna give you the space. And these are names that they're not really big in the league. But then they have their moments, you know, and then when the moments is there, you can't stop them. So yeah, I mean, the toughest one would be probably be Hakimi. And like I said, not because he's like the most skillful player, but then he's mastered the position, so it's easy for him now.
I see. Of all the away stadia in France, which one is your favorite? Where do you like going to play?
Will be Marseille.
Vélodrome.
Vélodrome. Oh wow.
Je suis avec les supporters. Hein?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I love big games.
You love
Yeah,
the heavy atmosphere. And Marseille fans can be very different.
Yeah.
Tense.
They can stress you. Yeah. I remember, I think it happened to Lyon before when I went there. Because I don't know, Bordeaux is in the south and Marseille is not in the south, but then some funny way, Bordeaux and Marseille is like a derby. I don't know how. So I remember my first time playing in Marseille, also my first game in Ligue 1. Before we left the hotel, the fans were right in front of the hotel, like 500 fans. They said, no, we're not going to allow you to go to the stadium. We stood there for like 20 minutes. Police is trying to stop them. And then you go to the stadium, and then the line on the side is like close to the fans. I remember there was one game that that same game, the ball went out. I was going to pick the ball, and then one fan is telling me, come here, I'll kill you. I'm like, bro. No, the fans, they make the game funny. It makes it so fun.
Yeah.
Especially when you're winning. Because then you turn them against their own players.
Yeah.
And then that's when, you know, like you get into the game more. Because I remember when we scored them like 3-0 there, we turned their fans against them. And then like, now we're playing like no pressure, even though we're playing away. And then one thing about Auxerre is the fans is very also crazy about the team.
Yeah.
When we were in League 2, was like, every stadium that we go, away games, everywhere was our fans. We could just go like 5,000 fans. So even though there was like fans from Marseille, you can also see our fans there. But I mean, playing in Marseille is like one of the, to be a top player and then to come over, I mean, after over the pressure and everything, that stadium is like very good to play.
Yeah, we were having a conversation just last week about how it's probably better for Pogba to end up going to Monaco as opposed to Marseille because the pressure in that city is insane.
I mean, Monaco is calm.
Monaco is calm. I was joking and I was saying that everyone there is rich, so they don't care about these kind of things, you know.
Okay, I mean, obviously, like in the stands, you see people from Nice. Obviously, Monaco, there's no like too many people living there. Like, it's just tourists and people that are visiting. So you don't really see fans there. And that's one thing I love about Auxerre. So you don't really see. When I was in Bordeaux, it was crazy. You can't go Twitter. You can't go like social media when you lose a game. Then when we were there, that was when we started having the crisis. So like you losing games and stuff like that. There was games that we finished the game and you can't even go to your house because the fans would block the road. They said, nah, nobody's going to their house. I remember we had a goalkeeper that I think that season he took like at least 80 goals. We were losing almost every game, you know. There was a game that we finished and then he has to drive in the middle of like 4 police cars to go home because the fans are gonna kill him. So. And you play in Auxerre where nobody cares, you know, like, I remember when we played Lens, 3 years ago, when we were in League 1, when we went down, played against Lens, we needed like 1 point to stay in the league. We lost the game 3-0. And then the fans were still there, like, acting like they want to take pictures. They want to take pictures. Nobody cares, you know. Sometimes it's a bad way because some of the players, they need the pressure to come out to play as they want to play. But then you also have fans that they don't care, you know, and it makes some of the players also feel like, okay, I can lose the game today and then tomorrow the fans are still going to shout my name, so why not?
Wonderful. John, you wanted to ask a question about living in France and soaking in the culture and the language.
Yeah. So I was talking to you about it before we started this interview about how, you know, you end up speaking the language every single time that you move. So you went to Austria, you speak German. You went to Portugal and you speak Portuguese, and now you're in France. So how's life in France, and how do you think that the fact of learning the language has also helped you adapt to living in France? Do you live in Auxerre? Or do you live around Auxerre? Okay.
No, I live in Auxerre, but Auxerre is a very small town.
Yes.
I don't live really in the city. I live like a city called Vifaujo. It's like 10 minutes to
10 minutes.
But yeah, I mean, with the language, it was easy for me because I was playing in Feyenoord here in Ghana at Fete, where we had like boys from Niger, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina, and we had a teacher from Cameroon.
Okay.
So we literally knew the basics, like je m'appelle, whatever, je voulais partir sortir. You knew the easy ones. Yeah, you knew the easy ones that you could just, not like the proper conversation one, you know. And then I remember when I was like 14, I went to Lille. For tryouts. I was there for a while. So, and nobody speaks English.
Yeah.
You know French people already. They don't.
No, they don't speak English.
You speak English to them, and then they answer in French. Like, I don't speak English. So how do you understand speaking English to you? Then, you know. So it helped me a lot because I had to learn the hard way. You know. because the coach is not speaking English, the players are not speaking English, so how are you gonna communicate with them? So it helped me a lot, and I was still young, so my mind was still open for stuff like that. I think now if you give me a language, I'm not gonna be able to learn because there's too much going on in my head.
Yeah.
And then I went to Austria, and I came back and Austria was the same because we had players from Mali, and then I could speak German after like 2 years. So I was the same person that translated for the French boys. So within those time, I was still learning my French, even when I'm wrong, I'm still trying to explain to them what the coach is saying in German. And then I went back to Bordeaux and then started having interviews in French and everything. So I think, like I said, I was still young, so my mind was really open to learning new stuff. So because I remember I started speaking all these two languages when I was like 19, 20 years. So yeah,
that's true. I can absolutely relate with him, right? When I had to go live in a francophone country and I had to pick up the language, you have to learn because you are in that environment. Gideon, just tell me, how proud are you that the Champions League winner came from Ligue 1? Are you surprised PSG won the Champions League?
Surprised, not really, because this season they've really had a good season. But also, like, I think I was rooting for them because there's been so many times that they've gone close to the finals and then they didn't win. And then obviously, like, having players like Dembele now having their own moments in the league, I was like, why not? But then, like, going to the Champions League where they're going to the finals and then they're winning against some of the big clubs in the world, and then winning was like a good thing for the French League also, because I think we all know that some of the people doesn't really think French League is like a good league.
That's
even though it's like in the top 5 leagues.
Yeah, people call it a farmers league. Luis Enrique was laughing at those people in the Champions League.
So, like, coming over all those comments and then winning the Champions League after like so many times that they've had like even the greatest players in the world, it's a good thing.
Wonderful. John, we're wrapping it up. I mean, do you have any final questions for Gideon?
No final questions, but I would like to thank you for coming and spending time with us as well.
Wonderful.
It's fantastic.
Merci
beaucoup.
C'est un plaisir. Anyway, listeners, thank you so much. This has been an exciting interview with Gideon Mensah, player for the Black Stars, and AJ Auxerre. And we'll be talking a lot more about him, of course, as the weeks go on. Gideon, you're staying at Auxerre, right? You're not leaving Auxerre in the window. We don't know what's going to happen.
I have no idea.
Okay. So if wherever he is, we'll talk about him. If he stays in France, all the better, so we can feature him more on coming episodes of Inside French Football here on Sporty 106.1.
This is Sporty FM, the voice of sport.